Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel Food for Thought, wherein we discuss about wellness, mental, physical and emotional well-being. Today we have Uma Panch, a mindfulness coach. She is an award winner, multiple awards that she has won, and she's also a transformational coach, especially in the business perspective. So let's learn more about her and what is mindfulness and how do we actually approach it. Welcome to my channel, Uma.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Uttara. I'm really appreciative of this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's great to have you on my channel. And of course, you and I worked recently on the mindfulness and transformation program, especially for men's mental health. So thank you again. Talking about mindfulness, we all are approaching that. We all want to practice it. And it's the buzzword, right? Everybody talks about mindfulness. Let's do it mindfully. I'm going for a mindfulness session. But what is it all about? What does mindfulness truly mean? Uh, just
Yes.
from that word, yeah.
From that point, I firstly want to say that this is so timely, Uttara. Reason being that we are approaching the UN. It's United Nations mental health awareness. It's more about the awareness of bringing awareness of mental health, and I would like to, support it with mindfulness because it really is an amazing tool to help improve mental health. And this day is on the 28th of April. So how timely! It's the World Health Day. So yeah, talking about mindfulness, Uttara, yes, as you said, it's a buzzword, but more than that, to me, what mindfulness is the embodied awareness. It's being authentically present right here, right now. Because what's happening to us is most often we are either caught up in the past or in the future that doesn't allow us to be fully present to our experiences, unfolding of experiences. So that's why I think it allows us to recalibrate our inner compass, our inner landscape, to be able to be fully present for the experiences of our life. And it's not a state of doing, it's a state of being.
Great. Thanks for that, Uma. And yes, yeah, it's about being present and mindfully being present. Now, that's
Yes.
the challenge most of us face. Now, you've worked with many clients. You work with many organizations from a background of being in the corporate world for about 20 years. You moved and transitioned as a transformational coach, working not just here in Australia, but globally. How do you define the role of mindfulness in leadership and transformation?
Excellent, excellent. In leadership, that's my primary area of focus. Leadership in both, not just the corporate, but also in the community space. Because, see, what mindfulness helps us to do is develop conscious leadership. The reason that we have so many problems in the community or in the corporate space is because leadership is at the moment a very overwhelming state to be. But what mindfulness helps to do is to help the leader to stabilize, to be able to respond to situation rather than react to the triggers and stimulations of the day-to-day affairs that's going on, right? So that is why I believe that bringing mindfulness into the community and corporate would help us to build leaders who are able to be more present to what's going on and have more emotional intelligence to be able to handle the people that they are leading. So that's how I see that mindfulness is a great gateway for absolute leadership transformation in corporate and community space.
Great. I agree with that, especially when you're talking about the corporate world. I can
Yeah.
relate to a lot that you're talking about. Now, as a founder of, you, the organization that you have, which is the Quantum Lab, uh, you've experienced many clients, right? Now, as easy and simple as mindfulness sounds, it's not that easy. The word itself could stress a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? So what do you suggest we do? And share your experience. I mean, share your experiences, what you hear from your clients.
Yes, very good point. Because most often, when you broach on the topic of mindfulness, there's a lot of stigma. So, one is that, oh, it's something very religious or it is something very hard to do. Actually, from that sort of myth and perspectives, I've helped many, many leaders, and just not, leaders working on it, but their teams and in workplace and individual clients as well, to embrace mindfulness. Because in practice, mindfulness, we see that executives have reduced their stress levels. There are studies that shows that they've reduced the stress levels, 90% of employees and 70% of executives, 70% of leaders have shown that their leadership capabilities have enhanced, their performance has enhanced. So when I show them the study results and they know that the possibility of mindfulness can transform their performance, there's a lot of kind of openness and curiosity to it. At the same time, it's mindfulness is not about people think, oh, you've got to stop your thoughts. You cannot think about things. That's not mindfulness. Mindfulness is just being present to those thoughts and emotions and sensations in a very non-judgmental manner, being very compassionate, being accepting of things. So, what this does to them is to help them to kind of switch away from the sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress and anxiety mode, to the parasympathetic nervous system. There are research that shows that practicing 8 weeks of mindfulness can create or develop gray matter in your hippocampus, like in your prefrontal cortex. It's very powerful.
Hmm.
And also based on I've recently completed my Masters of Research, and I ran this mindfulness program for a five-star hotel in Sydney.
Mhm.
So before the research, I did an intervention, like an assessment to see where they were in the mindfulness state, stress, peak performance, and well-being. Ran an 8 week program, again tested through an assessment, and we saw there was considerable changes in the way that they were approaching things, reduced stress, improved performance, and well-being. So the perceptions changed after they've seen the proof. So yes, I've definitely seen people now gravitating more towards mindfulness.
Great. And yeah, surely, as we discussed, it's the buzzword. Everybody talks about mindfulness.
Yes.
And we often forget to realize we talk about mindfulness and the practice in the corporate world, in at work. But when it comes to personal
Mm,
life as well, we forget there is something that we need to practice on, like being with kids. And that's
mm,
something that, I've learned from your coaching sessions as well. Just being with kids, enjoying that moment, we tend to forget it. And that's
mm.
what we need to be mindful about. And I've been practicing that, which has really helped me a lot. So talking about more of that, a lot of people think it's more spiritual or religious, and you also have come up with this sacred trikona methodology. What is
Yes.
that about? If you could
Thank you.
share some
Thank you for
light on that.
asking. Yeah. And most importantly, the point that you mentioned that, oh, because we're in the corporate space, there's mention about, oh, meditation, mindfulness. So people kind of tend to be in an environment to do that. But then when you come home, it's like, I'm going to remove my jacket and get back into my PJ, right? It's that sort of a mindset. But mindfulness is a state of being. To me, mindfulness is a lifestyle. I can't be like, oh, I've done mindfulness today. I'm being mindful, right? So that is the attitude that we want to bring. And the question you asked about the Trikona methodology, I think, to be honest, I believe in a lot of spirituality in leadership development and in just as a being. And I just feel that, we are spiritual being having a human experience here, right? And so in order to tap into that, for any level of transformation, because I'm big on evolution and transformation, and to have that transformation, I realized through years and years of experimentation personally and with clients that just not one faculty helps the transformation. So I brought into emotional, spiritual, and intellectual faculties. So we work on all three levels to achieve that powerful positive transformation. So that's why I created the trade of Trikona methodology, which incorporates all three. And also from a mindfulness lens, you can see that we've got three level of consciousness. So you've got the subconscious mind, which dominates 95% of our day-to-day activities. Okay, everything, our decision, everything that we do, our thoughts. And then you have the conscious mind. We only have access to 5% of our conscious mind, like an average person, right? Like if you're not doing much of a mindfulness practice or anything. And so, in order to access beyond that 5%, we need practices like mindfulness. And then you've got the superconscious mind, that is the universal intelligence, intuition, higher intelligence. That happens only, again, 5% access people have. So, in order to get access to the superconscious mind, we need to be trained in these sort of principles and practices. So, that's how the Trikona methodology also taps into all three levels for rapid radical shift, Uttara.
That's great, Uma. And this sounds like a lot to it, right? So definitely, I think we need more of deeper understanding of this and various other practices that you teach us. So, to the viewers, we would have more of these episodes with Uma. And today, we would probably close with a question I have from the viewer. And we will meet you in the next episode, wherein we have more questions on the methodologies to be practiced. So, the question I have from one of our viewers is, probably you answered this question before, but having said that, it's many people struggle to quiet their mind. What would you say to those who feel mindfulness is not for them? And this goes
Good
back
point.
to what I was saying. We struggle. That whole
Yes.
mindfulness word is an anxiety for us. So, how do we practice that?
Very thing that should help people to reduce anxiety creates anxiety. What a paradoxal life that we live.
Yes.
So the point is, you don't have to quiet your mind. Why do you have to quiet your mind? Can you even quiet your mind? No, because the thought of not thinking something in itself requires a thought. So that is a complete myth. So you got to sit with the thoughts. You want to be with those emotions. So you want to be present and embracing the thoughts and the emotion. And what happens is in the process of doing that, the thoughts, the emotions, they all slowly start to subside. So what's happening is we start to calm our mind down by befriending our thoughts. That is the secret to practicing mindfulness.
Okay, great. Thanks, Uma. And that's something I can relate to because once when we were having coffee, you asked, how's the coffee?" And I said, "Good." And then you're like, "Okay, take another sip and try. Tell me how the coffee is." And then I realized, okay, took the next sip. Yes, the sugar is more, less. So it's about just enjoying that every bit,
Yes,
experiencing it, which many a times we fail to do, right?
so
So
true.
embracing that experience, what you're feeling through. If there's a grief, just feel through it. If there's happiness, just feel through it. And that's mindfulness. Great.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Umay. Yep.
you're most welcome. Thank you so much.
And as I said, we have more questions for Uma and the best practices that we could take forward. So stay tuned for our next episode. See you soon.